Saturday, the 25th of April, 2026, and Arsenal are back on top of the Premier League. But if you're imagining a celebratory victory lap, this wasn't that. This was a tense, jagged kind of game, the sort that feels like it's constantly one moment away from boiling over. And it came with one refereeing call that, honestly, raises a bigger question. What are we even saying the rules mean anymore? Let's begin with what the table will remember. Arsenal reclaimed first place at the Summit with a 1-0 win over Newcastle United at the Emirates, and the goal came early through Eberechi Eze. Manchester City had briefly moved ahead after beating Burnley in midweek, so the pressure wasn't theoretical. Arsenal needed to answer, and they did it like a team that's been burned by title races before and decided they're not doing that again. The breakthrough arrived in the 9th minute, and it was a kind of set-piece routine you can picture being drilled over and over on a quiet training ground, just waiting for the right day. Arsenal took a short corner. The move was crisp and deliberate, and it ended with Kai Havertz pulling the ball back into space on the edge of the box. Eze met it perfectly. One touch to set, another to bend it, and suddenly it's in the top corner. No drama, no deflection, no goalkeeper getting rescued by the woodwork. Just a clean, decisive finish. The Emirates woke up, because that's the kind of goal that doesn't just score a point, it changes the temperature in the stadium. And then the match became something else entirely. Newcastle didn't open up and chase the game in a reckless way. They did what difficult teams do. They tightened it. They made every duel feel like a scrap, and they looked for chances in moments rather than long spells of control. William Osula had opportunities to test Arsenal. Bruno Guimaraes tried to make things happen. Sandro Tonelli had his own looks too. It wasn't wave after wave, but it was enough to keep Arsenal honest. What stood out, though, was Arsenal's response after going ahead. Not perfect, not always smooth, but composed in a way that suggests a side learning how to protect slim leads without panicking. There were nervy spells, yes, but there was also a growing sense that Arsenal knew exactly what kind of afternoon this was going to be, and they were willing to win it on those terms. In the second half, Newcastle turned up the urgency. Eddie Howe made changes to tilt the game, bringing on Young Wissa and Harvey Barnes, clearly chasing an equalizer rather than settling for what they had. And late on, the chance came. Wissa got a look that was good enough. Space, time, the kind of opening that can turn a tight-away game into a huge point. But the finish wasn't there, and that was the moment Arsenal survived. Sometimes titles aren't built on beauty. Sometimes they're built on those little escapes. For Newcastle, this now makes it 4 straight league defeats, and this match had to feel one that either slipped away from them or was, depending on your view, taken away in a different kind of moment. Because we have to talk about the refereeing decision that will linger far longer than the goal itself. It starts with Nick Pope, who had already looked a bit uncertain with his positioning at times, and then faced a situation where he had to make the one big choice a goalkeeper dreads. Do you come or do you hold your ground? He came. The problem was that Viktor Gyökeres was already through. Not kind of through, not shoulder to shoulder. Through with daylight and the clearest path you can ask for. Pope charged out, mistimed it, and took the man. No touch on the ball. Just contact that stopped the attack dead. And given the picture in front of everyone, you'd think the outcome would be straightforward. This is a scenario the laws were built to address, when a player is denied an obvious chance to score. But the referee showed a yellow card. And this is where it stops being a debate about fine margins and becomes something more basic. The whole idea of denying an obvious goal-scoring opportunity isn't supposed to be a philosophical exercise. Strip away the buzzwords for a second and just look at what was happening. The goalkeeper had committed and was beaten. The striker was in control and heading toward goal. The net, effectively, was there to be rolled into. The defenders weren't stepping in to block it. This wasn't some messy situation with bodies everywhere and uncertainty about who gets there first. It was about as clear as football gets an open play. So if that doesn't qualify as an obvious goal-scoring opportunity, then what does? Because the term is only useful if it covers moments like this. You can't have a player essentially running the ball into an unguarded goal, get chopped down, and decide that the correct punishment is a booking. That isn't interpretation. That's failing to apply the law in a way that makes sense. And before anyone reaches the usual talking point about double jeopardy, it doesn't fit here. That mitigation is about situations where a defender or goalkeeper makes a genuine attempt to play the ball inside the box and gives away a penalty. So the punishment isn't automatically penalty plus red. That's not what this was. This was a last-ditch intervention that stopped the player because the goal was about to happen. The keeper didn't get the ball. The attacker got taken out. The chance was killed. In any honest reading, it's a red card. Now, Arsenal's credit here is that they didn't let that controversy derail them emotionally. Sometimes a strange decision can make a team frantic, like they feel they have to win twice, once against the opponent and once against the officiating. Arsenal didn't do that. They managed the game, they absorbed the tension, and they closed it out the way champions often do, with control, with patience, and with just enough grit. There was a downside, though, and it might matter in the weeks to come. Both Havertz and Eze had to go off injured. The player who built the move and the player who finished it, both forced out of the match. It's the one real stain on an afternoon that otherwise leaves Arsenal 3 points clear at the top, even if it comes with a caveat that they've played a game more. So what's the big takeaway? The table says Arsenal lead. The eye test says they're not always flowing. The theme, increasingly, is that they're grinding. But the underlying reality is simple. They're winning games even when they're uncomfortable, even when it's tight, even when the margins don't feel fair. And still, that decision hangs in the air. Because if a player can be bearing down on what is basically an empty net, get wiped out, and the punishment is a yellow card, then we're not just arguing over one call. We're questioning the logic of the sports rule book in real time. Let's hope the officials get sharper as the run-in continues, because in a title race, you can accept tension, you can accept scrappy wins, you can even accept injuries. What you can't accept is the laws of the game being applied in a way that stops making sense.